Trust. Jessica recently overheard her friend Lucy telling a white lie. Lucy had a social obligation she wanted to get free of, and Jessica heard her leave a voicemail message for another friend, explaining why their meeting would have to be rescheduled. Lucy's excuse was entirely fictitious, something involving her child's being sick. But she lied so effortlessly and persuasively that Jessica was left wondering if she'd ever been deceived by Lucy in the past. Now, whenever Lucy cancels a plan, Jessica suspects that she might not be telling the truth. Such tiny erosions of trust are especially insidious because they are almost never remedied. Lucy has no reason to think that Jessica has a grievance against her, because she doesn't. She simply does not trust her as much as she used to, having heard her lie without compunction to another friend. Of course, if the problem or the relationship were deeper, perhaps Jessica would say something. But as it happens, she feels there's no point in admonishing Lucy about her ethics. The net result is that a single voicemail message, left for a third party, has subtly undermined a friendship. We've already seen that children can be dangerous to keep around if one wants to lie with impunity. Another example in case there's any doubt. My friend Daniel recently learned from his wife that another couple would be coming to stay in their house for a week. Daniel resisted. A week seemed like an eternity, especially given that he was not at all fond of the husband. This precipitated a brief argument between Daniel and his wife in the presence of their young daughter. In the end, Daniel gave in, and the couple was soon standing on his doorstep with an impressive amount of luggage. Upon entering the home, the unwelcome husband expressed his gratitude for being allowed to stay in Daniel's guest room. "Don't be silly, it's great to see you," Daniel said, his daughter standing at his side. "We love having you here." "But, Dad, you said you didn't want them to stay with us." "No, I didn't." "Yes, you did, remember?" No, that was another situation." Daniel found that he could no longer maintain eye contact with his guests, and thought of nothing better to do than lead his daughter away by the hand, saying, "Where's your coloring book?" There is comedy here, but only for others. And what do our children learn about us in moments like these? Is this really the example we want to set for them? Failures of personal integrity once revealed are rarely forgotten. We can apologize, of course, and we can resolve to be more forthright in the future, but we cannot erase the bad impression we have left in the minds of other people. Again, I'm not denying that tact has a place in encounters of this kind. If Daniel had said, "That's what guest rooms are for. How was your trip?" he would have finessed the issue without starkly misrepresenting his feelings in front of his daughter. Communications like these can still be awkward, but a wasteland of embarrassment and social upheaval can generally be avoided by following a single precept: do not lie. Faint praise. There have been many times in my life when I was devoted to a project that was simply doomed, in which I had months, in one case years, invested, and when honest feedback could have spared me an immense amount of wasted effort. At other times I received frank criticism just when I needed it, and was able to change course quickly, knowing that I had avoided a lot of painful and unnecessary work. The difference between these two fates is hard to exaggerate. Yes, it can be unpleasant to be told that we have wasted time, or that we are not performing as well as we imagined, but if the criticism is valid, it is precisely what we most need to hear to find our way in the world. And yet we are often tempted to encourage others with insincere praise. In this we treat them like children, while failing to help them prepare for encounters with those who will judge them like adults. I'm not saying that we need to go out of our way to criticize others, but when asked for our honest opinion, we do our friends no favors by pretending not to notice flaws in their work, especially when those who are not their friends are bound to notice the same flaws. Sparing others disappointment and embarrassment is a great kindness, and if we have a history of being honest, our praise and encouragement will actually mean something. I have a friend who's a very successful writer. Early in his career he wrote a script that I thought was terrible, and I told him so. That was not easy to do, because he had spent the better part of a year working on it, but it was the truth, as I saw it. Now when I tell him that I love something he has written, he knows that I love it. He also knows that I respect his talent enough to tell him when I don't. I'm sure there are many people in his life he can't say that about. Why would I want to be one of them? Secrets. A commitment to honesty does not necessarily require that we disclose facts about ourselves that we would prefer to keep private. If someone asks how much money you have in your bank account, you are under no ethical obligation to tell him. The truth could well be, "I'd rather not say." So there's no conflict in principle between honesty and the keeping of secrets. However, it is worth noting that many secrets, especially those we are asked to keep for others, can put us in a position where we will be forced to choose between lying and revealing privileged information. To agree to keep a secret is to assume a burden. At minimum, one must remember what one is not supposed to talk about. This can be difficult and lead to clumsy attempts at deception. Unless your work requires that you keep secrets, which doctors, lawyers, psychologists, and other professional confidants do routinely, it would seem worth avoiding. Stephanie and Gina had been friends for more than a decade when Stephanie began to hear rumors that Gina's husband, Derek, was having an affair. Although Stephanie did not feel close enough to Gina to raise the matter directly, a little snooping revealed that almost everyone in her circle knew about Derek's infidelity, except, it seemed, Gina herself. Derek had not been discreet. He was in the film business and his mistress was an aspiring actress. Once, while traveling with Gina and the kids on vacation, he had booked this woman a room in the same hotel. He later hired her as a production assistant, and she now accompanied him on business trips and even attended events where Gina was present. As Gina's friend, Stephanie wanted to do whatever she could to help her. But what was the right thing to do? She was a second-tier friend, and the person who had told her of Derek's affair had sworn her to secrecy. She also knew women who were closer to Gina than she was. Why hadn't one of them said something? Stephanie saw Gina a few more times. They had been having lunch regularly for years, but found that she could no longer enjoy her company. Gina would speak about the completion of her new home or about an upcoming trip, and Stephanie would feel that by remaining silent she was participating in her friend's ultimate undoing. Simply having a normal conversation became an ordeal of acting as if nothing were the matter. Whether Gina knew about her husband's behavior and was keeping it a secret, was self-deceived, or was merely a victim of his cunning and the collusion of others, Stephanie's pretense began to feel indistinguishable from lying. As if by magic, the two friends quickly grew apart and have not spoken for years. Stephanie knew several people with direct knowledge of Derek's philandering, who quietly severed their relationships with him, all the while keeping Gina in the dark, or allowing her to keep herself there. She found it uncanny to see someone living under a mountain of lies and gossip, surrounded by friends but without a friend in the world who would tell her the truth. And this was Derek's final victory. People who could no longer abide him because of his unconscionable treatment of his wife nevertheless helped maintain his lies, and abandoned his wife in the process.